Galaxias chapter 26 is officially out. And yeah, it's been a bit since chapter 25 due to the constant breaks that the mangaka is going in between chapters. At this point, I feel like it'd be best for his health if he went monthly, but it is what it is. Let's see how the release of the chapters come going forward. But we had another good chapter as we officially get the setting up of the Geo rescue arc, with Nared finally leaving the town that Yuri Holst is from, a little snippet of information, and we get to see a bit more of Geo with Antares and the rest of the Dragon Knights that are with her, with probably another beautiful panel and image that the mangaka has created for us. Al knows what he's doing, and I am glad for it. Before we jump into the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content and make it on the channel and shows you want to see more. We are very close to 30k subscribers, so let's try and get there before the end of the month. Now that out of the way, let's jump right into chapter 26 of Galaxias, titled Beacon. I start this chapter off with the train that Geo is currently on, in a tunnel, as Yerkes is complaining that they're kind of taking too long, hoping to get there soon because they should be there within 2 hours. And he's kind of not really feeling the vibe in here because everybody has long faces, especially Geo, who is very depressed after crying her eyes out after everything that's happened. But as they exit the tunnel, Geo is blinded by light as she sees a clear white field of snow. As Yerkes tells her that in the Scorpio continent, they're in the farthest point of the entire kingdom, and that it looks like this all over at this time of year. Yerkes basically says that it's too bad after she came all the way here, all she has to look forward to is a deep dark hell, and to just let that sink in and be in despair. But Yerkes isn't getting a reaction from Geo, as when Antares looks at her, Geo is mesmerized by the sight of this clear white field of snow. As then Antares ends up saying to notify HQ and tell them they'll be a bit late, as she lets Geo walk out into the snow with a look of wonder, as we get a beautiful full-page spread of Geo walking out into the snow with the train behind her. And this is just beautiful landscaping work. I absolutely love it. This is definitely my favorite panel of the chapter. Just awe-inspiring, beautiful. And it really showcases just, even though Geo is going to her death, she is getting the chance to see something absolutely amazing before she ends up going, and Antares sees this. Everyone ends up asking if Antares is okay with this, just letting that kid out there. But Antares says that death awaits her. There's no reason to restrict her any further. Using chains to seal one's freedom is nothing but the last resort of weaklings with no power over life and death. As Yerkes ends up just kind of reluctantly agreeing and says whatever, but Kerner ends up asking her, do you think they will come? As Antares pauses, as she looks at Geo's back. Now, I do like how Antares is just being like, okay, this kid's basically gonna die once we bring it to the capital. At the very least, she should at least see something of the world, one last beautiful thing beforehand. And it's not like any of them can not catch her if she decides to run away. So, her logic makes sense. They don't really need to lock her up or anything. She's a regular human, as far as we all know, and there's 3 incredibly powerful Dragon Knights, one of them being one of the 12 strongest in the kingdom, so there's no real reason for them to worry about her running away. So letting her see this beautiful landscape before she dies, especially after everything that she's been through, yet still being mesmerized and in awe of what she's seeing, is, I'm not gonna lie, kind of a nice thing to go about. And just giving her a last bit of kindness before, executing her. So, really nice. I kind of enjoy that. But after this moment with Geo, we then cut back with Nared and Schmitt as they're talking to the man from town whose name I still don't remember. As he tells them that just beyond this path, they should head north and they'll reach Scorpio and the region's center, Kraneka. As he hears that someone saw an unscheduled train heading there last night after the earthquakes. Schmitt says that that is Antares' base of operations and that she'll be planning to keep Geo there until they take her to the capital. So they need to take her back now before then. But due to the earthquake and all the damages, the train tracks have kind of been, well, destroyed. So they can't really rely on a train to leave right now. But they kind of thank the guy for their help, and Nared even says that he's taking all this pretty well and he's staying pretty damn calm. But the guy is showing that he is very close to breaking because, of course, he's trying to stay calm. Because if he thinks about things, even for a second of this current situation, he's going to go crazy. And so he just wants them to get out of there right now. But before Nared leaves, he grabs his shoulder and tells him that he feels like they met for a reason, and that he wants them to live a long life and to not do anything too crazy. As Nared says that he will, and that he'll meet up with Gio again, and they'll come back. But this guy ends up saying one more thing. The truth is, I met Yuri Holst once, as this shocks Nared. But the guy just says, we only spoke for a moment, but he sure don't look like the sort of guy to kill someone. He's definitely sunk this town's reputation, but I think part of me feels that was some kind of mistake. Give my best to the young lady. As Gio and Schmitt end up saying goodbye and make their way out of town. So it is interesting that this random guy they met actually met Yuri Holst at one point, probably a couple years ago, before the whole king killing thing happened, most likely, and I can see that. I just feel like it's an interesting piece of information that we were given, but I think it's more so to give us a sense of maybe progress. It doesn't really change too much because they didn't really give any real vital information as to Yuri Holst's whole situation and where he is. It's an interesting addition nonetheless. I guess it just shows a bit of, okay, some people probably met him at some point in life. Here, just a little bit of an Easter egg or whatever. At least, as far as I know, for all I know, this could come back and be something very, very important later down the road. But one of the townsfolk ends up telling them that a bunch of dragon knights ended up entering the town, breaking a hole in one of the walls of the cavern, as we meet a new dragon knight named Drill, who is the mole dragon, as he has these giant arms for, well, tunneling and manipulating the earth. As he brings his shoulders in, and it turns out that Yerkes was the one that called him to try and look for Nared. As since they couldn't find the body, he probably wanted to make sure that Nared and Schmitt were dead so that they wouldn't cause any problems. And he basically just says, look, do this for me and you will have domain over this entire town. Which kind of implies that no Dragon Knight has domain over the town of Grib, so I guess you can just hand out titles, if anything, if there's a Dragon Knight in a town so far, so that's interesting. And so he basically just tells his men to just, after everything's done and he helps them, they will basically do whatever the hell they want, but not fully anything, because one guy just says he wants a 32-foot long specific fish, and he's like, okay, we can't do anything. But yeah, a lot of these guys just sound like a bunch of assholes, you know, like killing old people for fun, kidnapping as many people as they like, women, children, all that shit, and like, ooh man, yeah, this system in this Dragon Kingdom really needs to have someone involved to just screen these potential Dragon Knights and their subordinates right now, because after everything that happened with Chalk, Drill seems almost, if not just as bad as Chalk. Maybe even worse, since his men are basically going to be killing people just for shits and giggles. At least Chalk had a purpose for what he was doing there in that town, but still. Either way, he's just an asshole at this point, and probably a very horrible person. But as he's telling everybody to just go and search the town, Nared actually meets them square up. And Drill ends up saying, oh, he's a dragonfolk. You want to join with me? Sorry, but we've got an important job to kill some brat who looks just like you. And after he slowly puts the pieces together and realizes, hold on a second. But as he makes this realization, his face turns from curiosity to absolute horror as Nared is holding the giant half of one of the mushrooms from town in one arm over his shoulder, as he then begins to swing it right at Drill, and with a massive amount of force, lands a devastating hit that splits right through the mountain. As we cut back to Antares for a second, as she remembers Kerner's words, asking if they will come. And with Antares outside of the train, staring out into the sky, the end of the chapter shows us a double-page spread with the aftermath of what Nared did with just that one thing in his arm, with that mushroom, with the sheer force of his strength, basically creating an entire new canyon through the side of the mountain that was surrounding the town, as he yells at the top of his lungs, "Just you wait, Gio, I will lay it to rest." As Schmidt's like, you sure you got that right, buddy? I love how despite all this, Nared still doesn't understand certain phrases in terms of phrase. I kind of find that hilarious still, despite this very big circumstances. But the final panel of the chapter in this 2-page spread is Antares just smiling, saying, "The storm is coming." And that ends the chapter. Honestly, really great chapter. As I said at the beginning, I like that we got that bit of Geo at the beginning. Her just having that sense of wonder, whimsy, and adventure, despite being taken to her death. And Antares showing actual kindness to her, showing that she's not completely cold-blooded, but even still doing her job, and also gives reasoning as to the fact that they shouldn't just restrain her like that. It's not like any of them can't catch her if she tries to run away. I like the bit in town where Nared just shows, again, aura farming, just absolutely taking out an entire platoon of people behind one Dragon Knight that can drill and dig through solid rock with ease, with the top of a mushroom, tossing it with force, and basically making a whole new canyon. Just without any trouble whatsoever. Beautiful. Love this chapter, a lot of fun, and we're officially starting the Geo rescue arc. How long this will take, I have no idea, but this will probably be the longest arc in the manga, as we have to get to Geo and then have another confrontation with Antares. So there's a lot to go on. Who knows, maybe we will get some allies along the way. Give me Kangaroo Granny again. I feel like she will come back in the story. It would be pointless if she was just introduced at the beginning, arrested, and then just not be brought back. It'd be hilarious if she was in the exact same prison as Geo, and then Nared busts them out and then she helps them fight. That would be hilarious, and that would probably be massive payoff. I would love to see that. But leave your thoughts and opinions on this chapter in the comment section down below, and how you think this will progress going forward. And what's more, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel. It shows you want to see more. And if you want to see more of my Galaxias videos, go and check out the playlist on screen, or a different video I made that's also right next to it. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.